This poor old dog.
I just forgot. It was such a cool concept, and then I completely put it out of my mind.
I feel like I am probably the most annoying Roll20 player right now because I still ask questions I normally ask on like a Heroclix table. Where it's like, okay, hold on, and like these guys will have like the number on the middle thing, and I'll be like, all right, what click number is he on again? What click number is that one on again?
Hey,
all right, cool.
It could be worse. There are people who still like type out their rolls. Roll D6.
But it's still, I think that's still a good thing. You should always do that. You should always be saying, what click are they on again? You should always having that dialogue, right? Like, why not make sure everybody is on the same page? A mistake could happen. Like, you might all say, yeah, he's on click 2, and then when you look, oh, you actually put 3 there. Oh, I'm a typo. You know what I mean? Why not keep talking about the game state and confirming where the game state is at?
It's also
I think that's the best.
It's also a great way to stall people, you know? Like, it already is, there's already lag in the microphone, and, like, things take longer in Roll20, so if you're constantly asking inane questions...
No, come on. It's not an inane question to confirm things, right? No, but they tell you all the time to confirm the numbers, that everybody should confirm, my attack is this, your defense is this, my damage is this is what we require to make it a hit. Like, that's not inane. That's confirming the game state. That's what you should do.
For sure, and mistakes happen more often than you might think, and I don't think it's cheating. I think people really sometimes type a 3 when they meant to type a 4.
I got fat fingers, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
And I suck at Roll20, so you know, let's be fair about that too.
I managed to get my first game smoothly, so at least the first game in this tournament. Hey, we're live, by the way.
Oh, great! Your actual very first round sounds like it went very smoothly.
Yeah. So we'll talk about it in a second. As I say, I'm joined this week on the Metal Lab by Tom.
Hello, everyone.
And Mike.
Hello.
And we've actually kind of come in talking about Roll20. Part of it is I am participating in the Critical Clicks Kilted Classic, which is basically the tournament. We've talked about this before, but I want to talk about it every time so kind of everybody understands how awesome this is. Every round of this tournament, the winning team is banned for future rounds, and you have to build a new team every round of the tournament. And you have a couple days with which before to build your team, come up with your team before your next round. And if you're in the winners bracket, your map will be banned in the next round. If you're in a losers bracket, your map is unfazed, but the losers bracket does get figures banned still too. So this weekend I had just completed my second round game. My first round game, unfortunately, was subject to some scheduling conflicts, so my opponent was unable to arrange a time or day to play with me, and it was a really good opponent, so I hate to have it go down that way. We'll see how the future on that goes.
Well, you'll brag about it anyway.
I'm not going to.
A win is a win, my friend.
I scared him off, guys. I'm just,
next time we go to Worlds, which at this point I presume is going to be about 2023.
Yeah. But my second round was up against actually one of our patrons, David Crichton. He's a good sport. I played, so after the first round my plan was to play the Black Widow team, which is Black Widow, 2 Captain Marvels, and Sideline. I gotta shut down WhatsApp, just give me a second here, because I don't want that noise happening. And, of course, because I didn't get to play that, my team was a winning team, but other people had played that team. All right, so my second round team, I was kind of waffling. I was going to play a 300-point Dr. Doom, but I figured I wasn't ready for that yet. So I ended up playing the War Machine from Captain America, who made it through the first round. The Chase Doctor Strange, also from the Captain America set, and I also had, oddly enough, made it through the first round as well. AIM White ×2, and an AIM Blue agent. So I had a 5-figure Avengers theme team. I also had Scarface as one of my objects to equip, and the Goblin Glider. Yeah, the idea was there was a good chance second round I could run into some WWE characters, but then Tom also reminded me, just give your Goblin Glider to War Machine when we were musing about the team before my game. I was like, oh, that's right. So I have my out if I didn't. Ultimately, the goal was to get Goblin Glider on the Doctor Strange and Scarface on War Machine, because when you use Energy Explosion with War Machine, you have more potential to hit more targets and then target lock their faces off, which is awesome. And with the 2 Perplexers plus the Perplex from War Machine, missing wasn't really something I was going to do short of my opponent's Super Sense rolls. And so the game is actually I did live stream it on the channel, so if you want to check it out, it's on the channel as well. But you know, I was up against 2 copies of the Deep Cuts Angels, carrying 2 of the Wolverines from Regenesis. So it was a new Jean Grey School of New Mutant, or Jean Grey School of Higher Learning team. The Wolverines were able to free heal, but because War Machine is able to just attack and then attack again, you're able to break through those stop clicks pretty okay, as long as he's not super sensing them off of me. And you know, he does have a lot of combat reflexes, so if I can stay out of base contact, which I did for the most part, I was able to capitalize the best I could. I played it on the Iceberg Lounge as well, so I had some seals to tie up the game a little bit early. You know, and if you watched, yes, I did use pictures of the Singer seal for my bystander tokens, because I'm a funny guy like that. But this tournament is wild. The first round, we were musing about it actually before the show. The first round, you can expect some pretty hardcore, like, this is the stuff that wants to win, was going to get knocked out by winning. But once you get to round 2, all bets are off, man. Like, there's some stuff getting banned right now. People are sharing their winning builds in the Discord that's being active for this, but there's some stuff that made me go, huh, so that's banned now. So my plans for Molly Hayes are now canceled. And I think that's, Tom, you're kind of musing, like, you can't plan for anything anymore, can you?
No, you shouldn't ever plan. It's there's no point. You know, by all means, get excited for things, but as far as I'm concerned, the real joy of this is just diving into concepts as once the results are in. Like, yeah, the more you plan, the more you're going to be disappointed, but the more you leave yourself open, there's a whole world of Heroclix out there, and I'm so jealous that you guys got in and I didn't.
Yeah, I'm actually oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's a great idea, like Tom's saying, to really delve into your collection of stuff and play the tier B, tier C stuff that we're like, you know, oh, I'd play that in sealed, but you know, I don't know if I would so much play it in the meta, or oh, it might have a niche market somewhere, or if it's a certain. Well, now you can try that out, you know, because really round 1 was all the obvious stuff, and now it's all the, well, hell, man, I made it to round 2. I
mean,
damn.
Round 1 wasn't without its realies. Nothing that comes to mind right now.
Yeah,
but,
it always is.
But another thing Tom was musing about, and I kind of agree with him, and I think you'd agree with this, Mike, guys who play with us locally or in our areas, this is our tournament, because we don't play with the same thing week in, week out. Like, yeah, we have our meta teams when we show up to possibly practice with after our fun tournaments, but we also try every week to bring something new. I don't think any of us are really guilty of being the type to be like, well, I'm going to play the same thing every week because it's going to win. We're wacky like this. We'll find something and be like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. So,
well, I think, in fact, we're guilty of always team building. Yeah. I think on a regular basis, we will build for an event that's coming up. So if we've got a WKO coming up or a provincial or something like that, we'll all sort of focus on figure out what team we want to play for it. That event comes, we run that team, and pretty much how it finishes is how it finishes. So if that team wins the event, it's like, awesome, great, I built a winning team. Next event, we're building a new team. If you built the team and it almost won and it has a chance, like, oh man, maybe if I played it again, no, let's just build another team. Like I see on a regular basis that we're constantly sort of saying that team was for that event, and now we got to make a new team for this new event. And that's a very our local group kind of habit.
Yeah, I don't know why it is, but I just don't feel like there really are very many people who play locally that tend to lean towards the most sort of currently popular or currently oppressive stuff in the game. And I don't want to say that in a way that feels judgmental in any way. It just happens to be the nature of the scene that we're a part of. I think that we all get more excited about each other's team building perhaps than we do each other's achievements with those teams. So I think we have more fun saying, "Hey, what are you doing today?" and having a bit of fun with that than we do, talking about how any of us are doing. And I also tend to think that there's, this is true of a lot of Heroclix players, but locally, I think a lot of us kind of have a chip on our shoulder around having been beaten by the most annoying things in the game, the Fausts and the Unimind, so that we don't want them anywhere near us, either in front of us or across the table. And the only thing that we can control is what's in front of us. So I think that and maybe that's true in other markets as well, but I think locally there's a lot of a desire to not play the oppressive thing because it's oppressive and we know it's oppressive and it's frustrating and we don't like it in our game. So I don't know. There's a small strain of elitism there, but it's well intended.
But it's true. I agree with you on that we want to shy away from those things. And I think more often than not, if we do end up building with something that's sort of in the current mainstream of meta, it's more often than not we sort of came across it as opposed to we went looking for it.
Yeah,
we'll get inspired. Like, hey, don't get me wrong. Apex Insiders. I'm reading those things. I want to be inspired to think about different combos of figures and stuff. But more often than not, I feel like we use that for that, like as an inspiration to sort of think of an avenue or a connection, but not so much like a copy and paste. I know purposely I don't want to play what other people play because there's a bit of me that feels like I didn't win, Isaac won or Scott won, or
right.
You know what I mean? Because I played the team that they played first. That's how that feels. I mean, there was one year, I can't even remember which one it was. I think it was something along the lines of with that Super Scroll in Lydia mailer in that Indigo battery, whatever battery it was. I think someone else, I built that team, and then literally like a week before our event, somebody played that exact team in an event, and it was like, oh my god, what the hell? Do I have to change my team now? But it was like, because I didn't want anyone to think I stole that idea.
Yeah,
like,
I remember you having that identity crisis. In fact, I think you did change your team, didn't you?
No, he changed his day one, because the way Canadian National works is like you have the day one constructed qualifiers and the day two like play the tournament. He didn't change from day two. No, he changed like the orange battery, I think, instead of the. Because I remember playing against you with it. You had the Lydia and you had the Zombie Super Scroll.
Yeah, I can't remember what I did anymore. I just remember how much I immediately was like, now I can't play with this, Like, I don't want to feel like I use somebody else's idea, right? Like, there is a personal connection at times to building and having success with things, I mean, I forever will talk about, obviously, Trinity War Batman and Element Man and Orange Battery, right? Like, that was my baby. Nobody else was playing that. I will always forever... I'll make a shirt about it, that's for sure.
I mean, I think you and me had to, like, it's a shame you and me had to play in the top 8, because we both had some wacky teams that year, because that was my Superman Clarion, Mr. Mix's Pitlick, Indigo Battery team, and it was like, what are we doing here, Mike?
I know. I hated that I had to face you. I wanted to face you in top 2, obviously. It was like, I was prepared to lose to it, but I didn't want to lose like that. Oh.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wasn't getting past Kenji, so if you were getting past Kenji, good on you. That was a rough team. All right.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes on the YouTubes or the Facebook groups, because people are streaming matches from this tournament. So you can catch somebody's Roll20 game. Mr. Clixo has been just jumping on as many as he can. I've been streaming my own games, which, there's only been the one so far. I will continue to stream my own games, and when I get knocked out, I'll try to stream as many as I can catch. So keep your eyes open. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of fun for this. I'm also doing a round by round, playing keep up with the round by round band list. I'm going to try to share that in the description below later on after the episode's gone up on the archives. Because I got the round 2 band list. I'm just going to keep that. It's going to be a Google Doc. So if you're on a network that's blocking Google Docs or sharing sites like that, you're not going to be able to use. There's just a warning for you. But I'm gonna keep up. I got the round 2, round 3. You can see the state of the ban list, and just kind of a neat little tidbit. not a single Super Friends made it or the Super Villains made it past the first round, and a lot of them were Target played. There was a lot of Target picks in as well in the first round using Jason Wingard to get certain bystander creators off the table. So Medusa round 2 was not happening because somebody's like, I'm just going to put a living hair next to whatever, man. So,
Makes sense.
yeah. All right. Let's talk previews because this is gonna be like the last episode where we cover Fantastic Four previews, because this is actually the last week before the set comes out, which is next week.
Wow.
Yeah,
Really?
like, it's a week from Wednesday it comes out.
It's the 22nd.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
no,
Wednesday's
that's
the 15th.
right. That is.
Yeah.
Oh my god. How
So-
is time passing this fast?
Next week will be our wish list, as it were, for the coming days to get our stuff. But without further ado, let's do this. Let's get our first look. First figure we're going to look at is in the uncommon slot. It's Mr. Fantastic, figure number 17. He's got the Fantastic Four, Illuminati, and Scientist keywords. He's got Reforming the Fantastic Four, is the name of his trait. Once per attack, you may force the attacker to reroll a 4 in an attack roll targeting Mr. Fantastic. He's got special movement power in his first 3 clicks, Elastic Finger Squeeze, Plasticity, Giant Reach 4. When Mr. Fantastic hits with a close attack and has not been moved or placed this turn, until your next turn, a hit character modifies attack -1 and considers Mr. Fantastic adjacent for the purpose of all breaking away. He's 50 points with the Fantastic Four team ability. Tom, what do you think of this Mr. Fantastic?
Meh. Boy, there's a lot of things that I wish he had. You know, I wish he had willpower, though I can live without it. You know, you always wish for willpower on a piece that doesn't have it, and it would be silly if it was like crazy common. So I can live without that. What I find harder to live without is any kind of improved movement. Doesn't feel much like Mr. Fantastic when he can't even go through the weeds. And of course, the super limited prob is a nice little thing as long as it basically isn't adding to their point cost. But you know, it's not really doing very much. What annoys me most about this figure is just when Mr. Fantastic hits with a close attack and has not been moved or placed this turn. Like, why does that clause really need to be there? The piece is not that good in and of itself, but at least if you could TK him up and get something out of him, or if you had some way of giving him move and attack, and there are options, then it might help a little bit. As it is, it's pretty restrictive. I mean, he is basically a fairly well protected, thanks to super senses and an 18D and a kind of a very situational reroll, a fairly well defended outwitter with decent enough combat values that he's like a tertiary attacker. So I guess for 50 points, that's okay. But it's only okay. So that's why I say meh. It's hard for me to be overly critical of the piece, but it's also, there's nothing drawing me to want to actually play him.
All right, Mike?
Yeah, he immediately falls into the category of, yeah, okay, I guess he's appropriately costed. And yeah.
The spirit of Jay continues.
Yeah, I mean, but it's true though, right? Like that's all it is you look at, like, if you covered who it was and you didn't know who it was, and you just read the powers as like a blank flavor text, kind of, you know, flavorless text as it were, you'd be like, okay, yeah, this is a 50-point figure that does some things, and I guess he's kept on the cheaper side by the fact that his movement power is much harder to pull off because of that limitation. So yeah, but that's exactly why we don't want to play him. There's no fitting him into anything on a team. He's too many points to be a support figure for what it is he's doing. Without the improved movement, he's not really a very good outwitter. Like, he can't get into position on his own in outwit, so he's got to get carried around to do it. And getting carried around means he's got to wait a whole turn or whatever to be able to really be useful with his special things. So yeah, it's a whole lot of okay, but I'm never gonna play him.
Yeah, I can see myself. This is like the last figure I throw in because, like, oh, it's not bad and sealed. I can fill up my Fantastic Four theme team. That's about all I can see this guy being used for.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Maybe if you had space on your sideline for that whole replacing your Fantastic Four at the beginning, and you somehow had the points of other people, and you're like, damn, I need a 50-point person. to come in to fill the, yeah.
The perpetual 50-point bluff, even. Put this 50 points on the board, and it's like, I got a whole bunch of other 50 points on the sideline. I'm just going to replace this guy with him. This guy's never going to see table. All right. Next up, we have the Silver Surfer in the Prime slot. Spoiler alert, he's a Skrull. Silver Surfer's got the Skrull, Cosmic, and Spy keywords. He's figure 47B, so we've seen the first one. Now we're seeing the Prime one. Refractive matrix to negate cosmic might. That's his trait. When Silver Surfer hits, after resolutions, a hit character can't use protected outwit, or willpower until your next turn. He's got a special movement power, Skrull Spy with a fraction of the Surfer's might, which gives him hypersonic speed and stealth. He's got a special attack power on all clicks except his first click, siphon off the True Surfer, incapacitate, precision strike, steal energy, but with close or range attacks. He has a power cosmic and the Skrull team abilities. He's 70 points, flies. Mike, what do you think of the Prime Silver Surfer?
I really like him. Like, why would I not like him? Like, for real. Like, okay, invulnerability, but so what? I mean, you got shape change on a 4 to 6. Yeah, he's Skrull.
Mike's a Skrull. Confirmed.
I have never denied being a Skrull. He loves you. Anyway, I
deserve that.
Why wouldn't I want to use him? Like, it's literally 70-point hypersonic figure with a super senses on a 4, 5, or 6 that you can't outwit. Meanwhile, he basically ignores your whole protected outwit for other people. He's sapping your power cosmic. 11 attack, precision strike, 3 damage. Like, I just think he's so worth it for the points. Like 70 points. This is a 120 point figure in a lot of other sets. A lot of things we've seen. I've seen lots of people being played and costed at that. I mean, obviously, after the first 2 clicks and with those low numbers defensively, he's better be hypersonicking around because, but I just think 70 points, he's so cost effective. Play him smart, top dial, and you could do so much with him.
All right.
Skrull, love him.
Tom?
Yeah, it's really all about that one click of shape change added to the Skrull Steam ability. That combo added to the invulnerability really goes a long way. Do you guys remember, like, ancient history, Secret Invasion, how powerful hypersonic
that still feels new to me.
Like hypersonic and stealth on Skrull Miss Marvel, I believe.
Yeah, that's exactly who it was.
Yeah, she's basically untouchable.
So powerful at that point in the game's history. Now, you barely even give it a second look. You're like, yeah, that's a nice combination. So, the times have changed. But all the same, stealth plus the super duper shape change with the mobility of hypersonic is all you need. I agree with Mike. It's hard to know what I think this, like, do I think this guy should cost 100 points? Probably not, because once you knock him off the first click, then he kind of falls apart. I think at 70 points, he's just a good enough deal to make him worth the effort. You are indeed really hoping that he either stays on the first click or he lives long enough to get back to it. That's kind of your goal here. But as long as it's possible, I mean, the fact he's got the outwit protection means that the vulnerability at least needs to be cut with penetrating damage. He's still got that super duper shape change, so it's hard to get through. And if they have no way of getting through, like if they don't have penetrating damage, they may only get 1 or 2 damage out past that, which means it is conceivable you could heal back up again with the steal energy. So I think it's just enough to be a good deal. Definitely not the A tier of primes, in my opinion, but certainly usable. And I mean, Skrulls doesn't have very much right now, but what it has a few pretty cool options, and so I think that there is a chance of a real outside Skrulls play after this set drops. I know one person will try.
You better believe it. Well, I mean, especially because he's got precision strike, with the steel energy on that attack power for at least 2 clicks there. So like you're saying, provided he doesn't get lambasted for a huge amount of damage, it just flies past it. If he ends up on click 2 or 3, he very reasonably is going to be able to get that one hit of damage off and get that one click of healing back up again. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of feel the 70 points makes me think about him a little more. That's kind of like, ever since I looked at him, I was like, man, he's only 70 points. You get a pretty decent package out of 70 points. So it's not bad, and it's up for consideration. I'm not overtly sold on him, but I'd put some thought into some teams. I'd throw him on some teams to give him a try with, for sure.
At less than a quarter of your build, then I think that he's worth every penny.
And you have to look at it this way too. We've already seen some of the scrolls that they've shown us. We already know that those generics are going to be lower points. It's a named keyword, so you're going to be able to actually build with a pretty high initiative bonus, getting lots of support figures around this guy. There's the one, isn't there the one that basically says, you get the shape change and you can pick somebody else? So there's like a backup plan to making him not be the target.
There's also one that's like, if you one of your scroll, or if a scroll rolls shape change, no scrolls can be targeted. So they're just already looking at how low a point cost he is with what he's got going on in that top down, knowing you could make a pretty large number named theme teams, so lots of theme props. That's exciting. That I can't say enough about how exciting that is for me right now. Yay! All right. Next up, the third figure. By the way, these previews today, with the exception of the last one, are all from Figures.com. The last one came from Scott Porter, and I couldn't duck it. This one's The Thing. Earth X and Fantastic Four keywords. He's got 2 traits. The first one, Buzz and Chuck. At the beginning of the game, generate a Buzz and a Chuck bystander. If your force is a Fantastic Four themed team, those bystanders have autonomous this game. The Thing can't attack unless Buzz and or Chuck was KO'd. His next one, Clobber You. What kind of unsophisticated slob do you think I am? Perplex. When the Thing uses it, he may modify attack values by -2 instead of -1. He's got a special defense power on all 4 of his clicks. Settle down with Alicia to raise a family, defend, and invincible. He's got the Fantastic Four team ability. So do Buzz. So does Chuck. And yeah, so we got a 4-click solid support that comes with 2 dudes. And they're 2 dudes that have the Fantastic Four team ability, which is already pretty fantastic because they're going to die and you're going to get that heal. Because they're 1-click figures. That just bystanders tend to do that. But then they've also got to, decide I'm going to attack a 0-point figure with impervious. There's a lot that you have to deal with. Plus, if you've made a Fantastic Four themed team, they're autonomous, so their actions don't count towards your total. You're free to just go with them. Unfortunately, they are not indomitable. They are autonomous. There's a difference. So don't be pushing these guys. And the Thing himself, his dial isn't bad. A 19 defense with defend on a Fantastic Four team in the past has proven to be a nightmare. So when you don't have to push your defend onto what's her name, Sue Storm, and you can be using the Thing for that 19 defense, I'm all for it. And he defends himself pretty well with Invincible. He hits fairly hard, has Empower. Everything about him makes me want to try him out in some way, shape, or form. And I think there is a slight potential for him in some Fantastic Four themed teams. It's not glaringly awesome, but I do love dad pose Thing. He's got his dad bod gut going for him. Everything. Something about this relates to me, and I just can't put my finger on it. What do you think of the Thing too, Tom?
I'm super excited. As you guys know, and anyone who listens to our show regularly probably knows, EarthX is arguably my favorite keyword. I just love it, and every time we get new EarthX, I'm excited for it. I'm not going to try to defend the suggestion that it's the best keyword. Sometimes you just have a soft spot. Mike has a soft spot for scrolls. I have a soft spot for EarthX. I don't know why, but I do. And this is a great contribution to the EarthX world. I really am sorry that that you can't get the autonomy from Buzz and Chuck unless you're on a Fantastic Four keyword team. I also don't quite understand why you would make it that way when there really was no Fantastic Four in EarthX, which is where the character's from with Buzz and Chuck. If anything, you should get autonomous when you're on an EarthX team. But anyway, it's annoying, but it is what it is.
Wave the finger aggressively.
Right. There are many things about the design of this character that I love. I love Defend Perplex right off the top. That's like Defend with a 19, along with Perplex and Enhancement to give another source of increasing stats without needing to use your Perplex for it, is already awesome. One of my favorite things to do on my many EarthX teams is to stand in my starting area with the skull and try to mind control people across the map. And so if you're standing there for a long time, there's nothing better than having a 19 defense being lent out to you, especially when you've got combat reflexes in case anyone decides to retaliate against you. And so that plus Perplex goes an awfully long way. I love the fact that Buzz and Chuck just need to get KO'd in order to trigger his attack thing. It's not they have to be KO'd by an attack and stuff. There are no sneaky things. Pushing one of them to death in order to activate the thing is hardly that much of a bad use of your points, because of course the guys themselves don't cost any points at all, and he's a pretty neat package for 50 points. So once you unlock his ability to attack, which could be turn 2 if you really want to, or if you're really weird about it and sneaky about it, turn 1 on some maps and with some effects. But the point being, you can activate him pretty easily because of that, and I really do appreciate that. I also appreciate the fact that even without the autonomous symbol, then I think it's still a pretty great use of points. I love the pog generators. I think at this point I'm just naming things that he does because I really like it all, and I think it's a great package for 50 points, and I like EarthX. So I am biased, but even without the bias, I think it's a pretty good piece.
What do you think, Mike?
Almost didn't mute there. Almost pulled a J. I think he's really cool representation of the character. Having read Earth X and Universe X and Paradise X, oh god, they're tiring. I think he's very, very cool. I love the generating his kids. I think the makeup of the figure is very interesting. I think he probably can fit into an EarthX team. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have some Perplex on there, the defend for some of the people. I mean, you can make what's his face Red Skull there a lot more annoying, or the Skull a lot more annoying to kill, right? Keeping him next to him. So there's a lot of interesting stuff there, and I'm sure Tom will be able to make something really cool with him. So I'm excited for that to happen. I don't get the impression that I'm going to see him much in the meta. I don't think he's so bringing any kind of sort of special thing there. Could be wrong. You know, people have made magic out of smaller things, but definitely very cool representation of the character.
I love the name of the super strength No Horsey Rise on Gorgon. All right, next up, hitting the super rare slot, we have Annihilus, figure number 57. Negative Zone, Armor, Cosmic Monster, and Ruler keywords. Endless Resurrection, Power, heal Annihilus equal to his number of negative energy tokens. Can't stop living. Invincible. This is special defense power. Invincible when this click is first revealed, give Annihilus a negative energy token. Special damage power, which he has his first 3 clicks at 175, or just his first click at 125. Anti-particles. Outwit. When Annihilus is attacked, any positive modifiers on the attacker's attack value become negative. When Annihilus attacks a single character, any positive modifiers on the target's defense value become negative. He's got 9 range with 3 targets. He flies. He's got power cosmic, 175 or 125 points as mentioned earlier. Tom, what do you think of Annihilus?
Whew, boy, there's a lot to this character. It is so tempting in this day and age to look at that dial and see a slew of stop clicks, but of course they're not.
No.
They are not stop clicks, and so that is one thing that needs to be remembered. And you know, at 125 points, Psychic Blast is his greatest fear. At 125 points, the 75 point version of himself is his greatest fear. because that penetrating damage is going to go a long way, which is part of the reason why I think at 175 he may still be a bit of a hard sell. As much as he's amazing, that's a lot of points in this game, especially now. And at 125 points, it's a scary sell if you see any penetrating damage coming your way. So I'm going to want to get those out of the way first because those are my negatives. But those are kind of my only negatives. So conditioned by the fact that he is an awfully big point investment in both lines, and in both lines there's enough to give you pause, let us not look away from outstanding movement with tremendous range and triple target. That is really great. I love the fact that off the top of his dial, he's got an unassisted swing of 15 squares. That is crazy good. 9 range outwit is pretty good too. And the fact that he, unlike so many other of these types of effects, I've never seen this particular implementation, but we've seen lots of effects that involve getting tokens and then using tokens in some way. You almost always remove the tokens. In this case, you don't. So once you've got a few of these tokens, then you can always take power actions to heal, and it admittedly, you're healing off the thing, and it's only when the Eclipse are first revealed that you get a token. So the most you could ever get for this guy would be 4 if you got knocked all the way to your last click without getting KO'd. So don't count on that. But do count on 1, do count on 2. And if you can strategically use those power actions to heal himself back, then you really are stretching out your life with this guy in a really effective way. And because of that, he's almost always invincible. With Power Cosmic, the fact that he's got so much invincible means that he's not suffering that penetrating damage too often. But let's not bury the lead. The real killer here is the damage power. It's basically, it's not quite as awesome as Weird World, but it certainly is a close relative, with people not being able to modify up when they attack him on their attack. They can still put up all damage, but they can't modify their attack up against him, and his defenses are decent. But most importantly, when he's ripping away at people, then they can't get damage boosts or defense boosts. And boy, that goes a long way when there's so much of that. I mean, that's something as simple as ESD. Just does not exist for this guy, and he can just blast right through. And so that's awesome. I think there's a lot of great things about this guy. He, admittedly, at 8 clicks deep at 175 points, yeah, that's a lot of points, and it can be a bit of a hard sell. So I'm sorry to say that I don't expect to see a bunch of him in the meta, but I think he's going to be an absolute sealed behemoth, and I think that maybe there will be an outside chance for him from some creative player somewhere, sometime. I just don't know what it is.
Mike, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Tom's saying about this figure. My only sort of, I don't even know how to put it into words, but I feel, looking at him, looking at the makeup of his powers, looking at the makeup of the dial, I almost feel like if you're going to play him, you're compelled to play him at 175, which sounds crazy. It totally sounds crazy. And the reason why, though, is because of the invincible top dial versus impervious top dial. It's because of, like you mentioned, pen side. Because of the fact that we know the most damage he can take is 3 clicks because of that invincible, he's going to get 2 of those tokens, and he's going to end up on that 4th click there. So he can choose to take a power action next turn and heal himself back up to the 2nd click, which puts him in a really good place and keeps him in the realm of having that damage power on the damage slot, which is huge. Like Tom said, I think, like, more than anything, you want to keep that showing as much as possible when you're aggressively using this guy. That's game changing to turn modify. Like, what do you do with that? Like, you can't. How do you protect your guy? You can't modify up his defense because you're helping Annihilus. If anything, you just don't use Perplex. You don't use ESD. Don't get into hindering terrain unless you have stealth.
Yeah.
That's the thing, people, like, stealth is huge against this guy. That's the scary part. If you've got stealth, Annihilus is kind of boned. Like, there isn't much he could do. Like, you need to kind of get a way for him to see through stealth. But the flip side is hindering terrain, if you don't have stealth, he loves that. You've just given him a -1 to your defense. Like, you got to stay out of the bushes against a Nihilus.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much great stuff there because of that. But because of the layout of the dial, because that's only on the first 3 clicks, and because of the nature of only getting the negative energy tokens the first time you hit those clicks, I feel, again, you're compelled to play him at 175 because you want to hedge your bets and potentially get 4, right? If you play him on the 175, you're going to have chances of, hopefully you're going to have chances. You're not going to suddenly get hit with 4 attacks and it's over. But hopefully you're going to have chances to at least have 1 power action to heal. So if you go all the way to the bottom dial, that's 4 negative tokens. It only takes 2 power actions to put him back to top dial. So I hate the idea of investing 175 points in a guy who gets so stymied by stealth. But if you're going to play him, he's so naked defensively at 125. Right? Like, it's what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clicks of damage, he's dead. If you could 6 click him with penetrating, it's over with 1 hit. You can't do that at 175. You can only throw 3 clicks of damage on him on top of the invincible, right? So I hate the thought of doing that, and I'm sorry for yammering on about this figure, but he's got so much interesting stuff going on. I would love to play him. I think I might try him because of Monster and Ruler. 175-point Mojo and him can be best friends. But it's so weird to see a figure like this and feel like I have to play him at the higher point value.
I look at him, and I love the fact that power comes with outwit, because it also forces creative outwits. There's a lot of situations where you come across, and a guy's got a defense power that says combat reflexes and super senses, and you're like, I'm going to outwit the super senses. Not the whole power? No, not the whole power, because now you're getting -2 defense when I beat you up. It's so good.
I love that idea. I love it.
Like, it does create an area where it's like, I have to be very creative with this character. And I think that's what I love about it. Nihilus being just a character that really rewards a creative player. As far as competitive play, you said the stealth is an issue, so Demonic Ring does come to mind. But unfortunately, then they don't get a +1 on their defense from the hindering. It's like, oh, it's such a hard choice. So you really kind of look at it and go, if they have stealth, I'll equip it. Otherwise, I'm giving it to somebody else. So make that plan. But ultimately, I like a lot of what's going on here. But I do share like that is it quite there yet with Tom? Because as well, we got 175 points that every other click kind of becomes super naked against like a Black Widow, because those defense powers give you invincible. Black Widow says, "Hi, how you doing? You're 175 points. You're worth a tradecraft token. nice grease stain there, you know." So you do kind of have to be careful in that regard. But it's stylish. I like it. I do look forward to seeing what people come up with for him. So next up, we have another title character. This one's in the super rare slot from the set. This is Doom 2099 Revolutionary. He's got Latveria, shield, armor, future, mystical, politician, ruler, and scientist keyword. He's got the Doom team ability and the team player team ability, so he's a wild card, and he's got the Doom team ability. He's 125 points. There's not much to talk about as far as base powers on the dial. We're going to be talking about the title points in a second. He's got 7 range, 2 targets, and he's an 8-click dial. So he's got of course the title character weakness. If you activate a plot ability and you don't make an attack, you deal 1 unavoidable damage to the character. But his downside, when Doom 2099 Revolutionary is KO'd, an opponent chooses a number of standard powers equal to your friendly characters on the map. Characters on your force can't use those powers until the end of your turn. Ugh, that's a painful one. That's probably one of the most painful ones I've ever seen. His +0, Deposing Tiger Wild. Free, make an attack that deals 1 penetrating damage instead of normal damage. If the attack hits, gain 1 plot point. If the attack hit the highest point or tied opposing character on the map, instead gain 3 plot points. His -1, stealing the shipment as part of the Zephyro resistance. Free, choose an adjacent opposing character. If they aren't equipped, then modify defense -2 this turn. Otherwise, unequip that character's equipment. And then he's got a -7, one nation under doom. Free for the rest of the game for each opposing character. The first time each turn that opposing character would give a close range move or power action, you may roll a d6. On a 3 to 6, that character can't be given that type of action that turn. Starting plot points is 1. Mike, your thoughts on the title character Doom 2099 Revolutionary?
Whew. Interesting. Yeah, that downside is brutal. I kind of don't want to play him for that alone. I don't want to ever let that happen to myself. That would end poorly. He's 125 points. He's only got vulnerability defensively, no stealth to hide in. So looking at all that stuff, it's just so hard for me to really think about playing this character. However, really interesting. Wow. If you can pull it off, if you can protect this guy and get him to make 6 successful attacks, well, I guess you could just do 2. If you can get 2 against the highest point character on the map, that'll put you to 7 plot point tokens. Fire off that one nation under doom thing, and that's it. It's really all you're trying to do, but that just feels like the other title, Reed Richards and Mr. Molecule Man. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
a trap.
Wow. Yeah, it's a trap. It's an Admiral Akbar. It's making you think you should play this figure because that'll be the coolest thing when it happens. But all I see is that 125 point figure with an 18 in vulnerability, who's going to get smoted in 2 attacks, and then I'm going to have a whole turn of like no defensive powers. So, yeah, really cool, interesting title character. I am never going to play this.
Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're pretty much right. I have to say, I don't know how much I agree with the, like, it's a bad downside, but like when Jason read it, then I feared that Mike was going to have an aneurysm. I'm not sure if it's that bad.
It is just a turn.
Pretty bad. It is only a turn.
Yeah.
Not only is it only a turn, it's only until the end of your next turn. So presumably he's not dying on your turn unless you've done something terribly stupid. And so your opponent has already expended whatever actions they've done to KO him. And, maybe that was their first action of the turn. So there is a situation in which they've got lots of time left to take away all your defenses and take advantage. There's also a situation in which they do everything they can just to get rid of him. And then it means that you've got kind of a crappy next turn because they get to strategically choose what powers you don't get. So it's not like you lose a turn, but so you lose some functionality on a turn. It's bad, don't get me wrong. But I guess the reason I'm not so taken aback by it is that, like, it's the sort of thing where if it's triggered in a certain type of situation, you just kind of reasonably assume you've already lost your 125 point character. You probably have already lost, and ideally you're already going into the game with the mindset that I've already lost because you're playing this character, because he's not worth it. He's not worth 125 points.
Yeah.
He feels like somebody designed a lot of his dial by accident. They were just they're like, okay, so he's gonna have 4 clicks of 8 movement and 4 clicks of 7. Whoops, so I put a 10 in there. Oh well, I guess we'll just keep it. And we're gonna make sure that he keeps his 11 attack for the first few clues. Whoops, I put another 10 in there. How does that happen? And so I figure what he'll do is he'll outwit for a while, then he gets knocked onto prob, and then he'll get knocked onto range combat expert. You forgot to print it on the second last click. All right, it's just not going to be there then. And why don't we have a naked attack power on his last click for no reason? Like, what is the random layout of stuff here? I like his robust 15 defense on the last click. That's not living through a turn.
But it's easy to heal, Tom.
Yeah, you're right.
By the way, a lot of the layout, not the numbers, but a lot of the layouts you're meant to very similar to the Doom 2099 from the collector's set.
Is that what it's about?
There we go.
Well, the first two clicks he
Throwback.
had stealth instead of running shot, but basically it was a lot of running shot, energy explosion, invulnerability with outwit, some mid-dial, pen psi, and super senses, which he doesn't have on this one, and then the last two clicks with the regen. Obviously, the values are higher because 2099 Doom had a 14 and 13 on his last two clicks defensively.
Well,
I'm not going to see that.
Now that you mention it, they do actually have one other thing in common, which is that I've never played the other one, and I'm never going to play this one.
Right.
I mean, he's cool. It's Doom 2099, and you're like, that's slick, man. So yeah, I'll go to a casual tournament that I intend to lose with this figure at some point. I think that you'll never, ever do One Nation Under Doom. And so, why bother trying? And as a result, why bother really getting plot points? The -1 is kind of cool for taking out your equipped people, but you start with one plot point, so just save it for that one usage. And otherwise, just use him for a few turns. Like, he'll be dead soon. Enjoy him while you can, and then next time, build a better team.
Well, I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I just want to make sure I didn't screw this up too much, because I did put his attack power or his attack values through a binary translator just to check, and it came up with a question mark, which is probably Tom's reaction to this dial layout.
Yeah. I also like that in the evidence thread right now, revolutionary is spelled wrong. They've missed the O, so it just sounds like somebody saying it with a weird accent. Like,
Revolutionary!
Who's that guy? Oh, that's Doom 2099. Revolutionary.
Revolutionary.
Oh, it's revolutionary! Yeah, this guy's gonna come to my casual games. I'm not bringing him out to a tournament, but he's snappy. He's cool. I do like the idea that he can potentially do like 6 damage plus, if you include energy explosions, possible peak potential, because he does have 2 targets when he makes that free attack. So it's something, but yeah, no, it's not great.
Oh my goodness, I've misread him. I forgot about the fact that his +0 is actually a free attack. I thought that it was your attack for the turn. All right, he's a little better.
Yeah,
I take back some of the
still not
terrible
great.
things I said of him. He's not great,
No.
but like I was ready to D-list this guy. He's C-list now.
C-.
Sorry, I misread that.
It's like he was poopy, but now he has sprinkles.
Yeah. Yeah, it actually makes it a little bit more possible to pursue that One Nation Under Doom. And it does mean your opponent really has to, if they even think there's a chance you're going to get there, they've got to focus on them. Mm-hmm. So maybe you're making good use of the other 175 points you're... I take back some of what I said. I still think that he's a thumbs down.
No,
but
yeah.
Totally a thumbs down.
Yeah.
Come on.
I think I might play him in Sealed.
Like, he's like, I don't remember
Maybe,
who we were
but-
talking about the other day, but it's the same scenario. Like,
Claw?
you'd be relying on your opponent to really not know how to play the game to allow you to pull off that power, right? Like, come on, you got to get 7 plot point tokens.
Yeah, but I mean,
Like,
free attacks or free penetrating damage attacks are free attacks,
I
especially when you've
know.
got one team ability that heals you off them.
just shoot him before he even gets next to you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Last but not least,
That took a weird path. Totally against him, then randomly defending him. Then
I
against
know.
him.
What
Yeah.
are you doing? Get
Yeah,
out
what
of
am I doing? I should design his dial with the way I've changed things up.
whose side are you on again, Tom?
here. I
All right.
know.
What's with that 10 movement?
Being on the world of Doom, God Emperor Doom. This comes from the Scott Porter video. He opened it on Wednesday, put it aside, and waited until Friday to show this to everybody.
What a
You
tease.
big tease, you big sexy arm tease.
You filthy tease.
Ah, he's so beautiful. All right, God Emperor Doom has Latveria, armor, cosmic deity, mystical, ruler, and scientist keywords so far. He ignores hindering for line of fire and can shoot while based. First trade. And do you have an Infinity Gauntlet now? Free. Choose an opposing character within range and line of fire. That character can't use the effect of equipment until your next turn. God of Battle World is his next trait. When establishing theme teams, God Emperor Doom gains all Battle World keywords. The other half of this trait, Leadership Perplex Colossal Stamina. When God Emperor Doom uses Perplex to target another character with a Battle World keyword, you may instead modify combat value except damage by +2 or -2. His special attack power, which is all over the dial, the Wrath of Doom cannot be ignored. Close, make a close attack. Other characters can't use powers during that attack. Special damage power, which he has on his last 2 clicks. You had to meddle, didn't you? Stop. Battle Fury, exploit weakness. When this click is first revealed, remove all action tokens from God Emperor Doom. He is playable at 300, 200, or 100 points, 9 range, Doom team ability, Power Cosmic team ability. God, I love it. It's what I expected out of a God Emperor Doom. There's a couple things to note. You know, we all talk about the Black Widow. He doesn't care. He does not care about the Black Widow for the most part. I mean, he'll lose his Battle Fury and exploit weakness on those last 2 clicks. If he's on his last 2 clicks, I'm not sure how many points he started it with, so I don't know what the situation of the game is. There isn't a dial on this that I personally wouldn't play. I would give him a try out of as a one-man army. I might get stomped, but I'll still try him because that's what kind of a fan I am. His 200-point line, I don't know, Mike and I had talked about this in previous days, lines up real nicely with Valeria and Franklin. So, up for consideration. It's a pretty chasey team, but it's a Battle World theme team or Latveria team, whatever you want to go with, but you get a lot of Perplex out of that. Even his 100-point dial, even though it's only coming in at 4 clicks, it's got Running Shot and Pulse Wave with a 12 attack and 4 damage on the first click. So that's that's a 10 square Pulse Wave reach with Prob on it. So not terrible. You can do a ton of damage with that. The 17 defense is a little tough to swallow, but he does come with 2 stop clicks as well. So they would have to commit like 3 attacks minimum. Hits once, twice. Yeah, 3. You'd have to commit a minimum of 3 attacks to get 100 points off of their board. If you don't finish it, it's going to be clear of action tokens and have charge, Battle Fury, exploit weakness with Steel Energy. I love the styling of it, the ability to stop equipment. Even if you got 100 points and you're just using them to stop equipment, and then adding on the Running Shot with a 9 range or Running Shot Pulse Wave, with a 5 range, that's solid. Using him to up the stats on your Battle World characters or even your not Battle World characters using regular Perplex. If you've got a Latveria theme team, his leadership is rerollable. He's got Colossal Stamina, so you can even charge and say, you know what, you're not using any powers. The heck with you after an attack, whatever. And he can kill if he gets the kills. He gets the heals. So, I love this Doom, and I'm going to play it until the metagame tells me to stop. I'm going to try a number of versions with him. I might even team him up with the starter set Doom. There's a lot of potential going on here. And I think 200, 100 probably the most likely to see play. That's not going to stop me from testing him at 300. Tom, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied. We were speculating on the last show about what we might expect to see from a God Emperor Doom, and one of the ideas that was floated was that we might, maybe he's going to have like a 500-point dial or something. And I think I said I really hope not. This is a 300-point game, so I'd like him to be playable in 300. And he did. And then I think, it was also speculated that maybe they'll give him like a 25-point dial, so we would just sit at the back and manipulate the battlefield. And I'm kind of tired of that right now, so I was hoping that wouldn't happen, and it didn't. So I'm pretty happy that it's a good old-fashioned 100, 200, 300, very versatile, and lots to go with. I mean, yeah, you said a mouthful there. The one thing that I like the idea of highlighting is how well he synchronizes up with the existing Battle World pieces and allows a lot of nice little interesting use of Battle Worlds. Now, all it really does is allows him to join any Battle World team. What I really would have just blown my mind is if he could have made Battle World kind of a commonized keyword as long as he's on the team. I mean, that to me would have been just dynamite. But I love the fact, for one thing, I love the fact that you can join Weird World, because Weird World is still one of my favorite keywords that just doesn't have enough, because you've either got Witch Queen and Witch Queen and what? So I guess now it's Witch Queen and him. At that point, why even bother with a theme team, frankly? But and there, there's a lot of different Battle World others. There's a lot of different just Battle World everythings, and he's always a good addition to them. In addition to being good for the keywords that he has, which are plentiful. What do you do with God Emperor Doom? Like, he's functionally omnipotent. He's more of a plot device than a character. So, given the range of options available to them, the designers decided to just make a guy who is crazy potent with a ton of powers, crazy high values, especially when you consider that he has his own perplex. So at 200 points, he's a 20D if he wants to be, which, in my opinion, you always do. And, like, you could quibble all day, like, why not give him more improved this, that, and the other? Like, why does he not ignore characters? Really, shooting out of adjacency and ignoring characters we're targeting would be even better. Why doesn't he ignore elevation? He's God. Like, you could do that all day, and it would be fruitless. Judging the thing that they gave us, I think it's awesome. And I don't have a lot to add. I think it's really powerful and really good for its points at all values, so well done. That's all you can hope for.
All right, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I can't deny any of that. Definitely, obviously, more excited about the 200 and the 100 because I like to build more than the one-man army. I'm too afraid of the one-man army. But totally doable. I'm really, really impressed and scared and lots of mixed feelings about that 100-point dial. Because when you really, really look at it, especially when you look at the last two clicks where he can now charge with the steel energy, well, that combined with Minions of Doom TA, pull it off the right way. There's 2 clicks of healing to get right back up to the pulse wave. They're both stop clicks. They're always stop clicks. The only time that whole once per first reveal is just to take tokens off. Mm-hmm. So this guy just has so much life potential. Like, it's almost confusing because of the defense. The defense looks so weak, like 17, like he looks like he's so easy to take out, but he's got those 2 stop clicks. He's got ways of healing himself over and over again. And a 100-point character with running shot 12 attack pulse wave that can prob himself is already just gross. Like, wow. There's so much there. Like, there's so much value at that 100 points with the traits that he's got. I can't even. I'm super glad that they didn't screw up and make that special attack power somehow something he couldn't use with charge. Thankfully, he can use it with charge, or else that would have just been so annoying. So he's just, wow. Is there a ring that gives flurry?
No.
Thank God, because if you threw a ring that gave him flurry, just play the 100-point one. He'll just become just crazy. Just get some other people on his team to give him some Battle World boosting up with perplexes. Like, wow, he's a great representation. I had speculated about a potential lower point dial one that sits there. I'm glad we don't have that. I'm glad we have a figure that we can play in the 300 modern. That I look at this figure and someone could totally build with this and potentially make a winning team. Like we talked about that 300-point team where you play Valeria and Franklin and him. It's exactly 300 points. Who knows? But kudos, WizKids. I think this is a great Doom, and I feel pretty confident that this Doom has made Mr. Collins a happy boy.
What's funny is that we never actually, in the whole review of the figure, everything we talked about, besides the initial description of the figure, we really didn't touch on the whole shutting down equipment thing.
That's just awesome to begin with. I
said, like, that's great.
Yeah, well, that's just
a guy.
Well, I think the point I was going to drive towards is we didn't point it out really because it's self-evidently good and there's nothing really to talk about.
Yeah.
It's a nice feature. Admittedly, it is. I think that it's one of those cool opportunities that they take sometimes when they take a cool moment in the comics and come up with a Heroclix equivalency, even if it's not directly sensible. Like that moment where he's talking to Thanos, the whole point is that Thanos doesn't, in fact, have an Infinity
Yes.
on. So it's
So
kind
that-
of the opposite of what Doom's doing. Here, Doom is turning something off. In the comic, the whole point is that he never had to begin with. But in fairness, he also crushes Black Panther's gauntlet with his fist. So it really should read like he says something like, "And now we're done, T'Challa," or something. And that would have been better flavor text from a functionality perspective. But whatevs.
You had to find something.
I also want to point out the character doesn't have to be equipped first, so you can just do it as a reminder. Just kind of jump up on that vulture and be like, "You can't use equipment effects," just to be that guy.
Right. Well, no, like you can do it just to be that guy, but you can also do it like when you anticipate that someone's going to equip their what's the knockback ring? We can never remember what it's called.
Spin? No, influence ring.
Influence, yeah. So
Yeah.
if you anticipate someone's about to equip the influence ring and knock their Batman Prime into a wall, then just say they can't.
Yep.
Yeah.
Slick.
Oh God. Like we can go on for days about how just on theme, how awesome he is, how excited we are about it. I thank you, WizKids.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll say thank you to Scott for saving it for last. It did deserve to be last, even though, like a child, I was like, I want to know it now. I want to see it now. Give it to me now.
It is pretty crazy when you look at the keywords too, because not only all those Battle World keywords, but like scientist, ruler, mystical, and cosmic.
Yeah.
Like 4 huge generic keywords that have so much filler stuff.
Yeah.
Praise balls.
What I find interesting now that we've got all the chases revealed is that this is one of the few sets where I can honestly say all the chases excite me for different reasons. Usually there is a ranking. I don't know how I really could rank these.
Totally.
Like to me, the least desirable as a figure is the Maker, but I've never seen the Maker, and I want it as a character. I really want that title read, but I don't think that I would be disappointed to pull literally any of them. Like Sue Storm is maybe the least ostensibly awesome, but she is so good in both Battle World and Fantastic Four teams that I think that she absolutely has her place. So it's really nicely done to make them all great.
Oh, dude, I made the decision. I'm getting a second case. I haven't even opened my first case, and I'm getting a second case because, I just finally did my taxes. I got a nice tax return coming. Because of that, because every chase is great. I can find different ways to plug them into different types of teams. I could make a team centered around Doom. I would happily have Franklin or Valeria to fill in as support figures. Sue Storm would be fantastic. Everything, every chase in this set has got something going on, and main force building, which is what I like even more. Like, no offense to the Jail U set and all those cool Super Friends and the Legion of Doom, they're great figures and lots of usefulness, sideline and main force, but they feel much more of a support and much more of a sideline add. These are main force figures that I can build the strategy around and move forward with, and I'm always more excited for main force figures.
Yeah. All right, so our excitement for Fantastic Four is there, and we're gonna spend a little bit more time wish listing next week. What would we really like to see in our cases? Some of them are a little bit more obvious than others. We'll probably do a top 5 list, guys. Warning now.
Yeah, or let's. I have an idea, but we can talk about it off here.
We'll talk
How many
about
chases were there again?
8. I want to say.
Okay, my top 8 is done.
There's 6, isn't there?
Is there 6? It's 6. Yes, 6. You're
Okay, my top 6 is done.
Yeah.
My top 5 is
Yeah, minus Maker. So take Maker out, put the other in no particular order.
but still won't be disappointed because he's number 6.
All right. I've already done next
Honorable
week's
mention.
episode's homework.
So unless there's anything else we wanted to talk about this episode, I guess we can move to questions.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. And it looks like there's nothing going on the Facebook. It's all in the Patreon Discord. So if you want to join in on the Patreon Discord, check us out at patreon.com/marriedwithclicks. Very recently, our $5 plus patrons got our very special patron-only episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. You get early access at all levels to all of our videos a day or two before our recorded content goes out. You guys get access to that. Stuff like the live stuff, we just do that live. We can't really give it to you early, can we? But if you want to be a part of the Patreon program, check us out at patreon.com/marriedwithclix. And checking out the patron Discord, David C., who I was talking about earlier in the Kilted Clicks, Kilted Classic. Is there anywhere those of us with subpar records find partners for nationals? I worry I'd be a drag on a serious team. Okay, first of all, David, you got the win on the first round, and you had a pretty interesting team with the double onslaught. I like the idea, so don't get down on yourself. There's always places where people are looking for teams, because I know there's a team nationals for the Rock Cup that people are looking for, and it's like the Highlander sort of situation where any A, B, C, anything A uses, B can't use, and C can't use anything that A and B can use. That's kind of how the team constructed works in this case. So there is Facebook groups. Do ask around. Hey, looking for a team for this. I don't know who's currently kind of without. This is an online thing. This is a whole new world in this situation. So, but do keep your ears open. Always check. There's a lot of podcasts that have discussion groups. And that's kind of an open forum for discussion, as long as you're keeping it about Heroclix. And, this is about Heroclix. Who wants to be on my team for Team Nationals? So keep an eye on those. I don't know. I don't think the Heroclix Mooching House allows that, but, check all the Heroclix International groups or the local groups if you want to just be part of, a group of local guys. Either you might find a couple Canadians who are trying to bounce up with you. I don't know if myself, Tom, and Mike are really up for it. I know me and Mike are old codgers about Roll20, but I might throw it aside and join in. We'll see.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. It's all going to be dependent on the time frame for these things, to be brutally honest. And yeah, so don't get down on yourself. I mean, a lot of times nobody looks at anybody's record. If you half the teams at Team Worlds, 9 times out of 10, there's 2 guys who are just like, I've never seen this guy before in my life, but he was looking for a team, so we added him. People are not picky when it comes to joining into these team events.
Well, also, too, like, a lot of people come to this game at different times through different avenues. Some people have a large community group. Some people have a small community group. You have no idea how many other dudes out there right now might be sitting there going, man, I want to play in the Team Nationals, but I don't have a team. I don't have anybody in my neighborhood. How do I find somebody? Like, there's other people who are asking exactly the same question you're asking. When you ask in the forums, they'll see it and they'll approach you and be like, oh my God, dude, I'm totally looking for somebody. Or me and my buddy, we've been so trying to find a third person because we only ever play with each other and we want to now try this out. Like, you have no idea until you ask. This is a lot of how we became friends and started playing games was approaching each other and saying, hey,
it's the only reason we are friends.
That's it. Like,
I met all these guys through Heroclix, I heard Tom's beautiful voice. I was like, who is that guy?
Yeah.
Those dulcet tones and that yellow checkered shirt. Oh, wow. Fell in love with it.
One fine morning, in Mike's case, it was ages ago. Jason, I can't remember, but I always associate it back to Windsor, even though I think
the Windsor Rock, where we had that really close game, and it came down to like a dice roll on. It was either my Zombie Super Scroll or your Approximate Midnight, or both, and both went, or one of them went against me. It's like, oh well, that's how it went. And then the next round, you lost the same dice roll with Kevin Afruz. So.
With Kevin Afruz.
Yeah.
God damn it, Kevin.
Yeah.
But it's true. Like, we were all strangers to each other at one point in time, and we were all opponents of each other at one point in time, and will be again, of course, and across the table. And that made us talk to each other and find commonalities and play more games, and then say, hey, man, do you want to be in a team together? And, that's how it is. You reach out to other players. You already have something to talk about. Heroclix, we all love the Heroclix, so you never know. You never know what kind of friends you're going to make out there and what kind of bonds, and you might find 2 other dudes who will be your future world championship team for life.
Or they'll share a murder room with you in Ohio one day. So don't get down. Everybody's friendly in this community for the most part, and if they aren't, they're not worth your time. And I have yet to meet that person where it's like, I don't want to deal with this guy ever. So, I mean, even though we kind of took that dig at Kevin, Tom was on Kevin's team with Jay, I think it was 1 year for a team thing at the Rock, right?
Almost. Kevin was hungover and slept through it, and Mike needed a team, so he became teammates with us.
Yeah.
Kevin. Screwed by Kevin yet again.
All right. I think that's actually about it, though, for questions this week. It's a little light. Nothing, unless there's something going on in the chat that I missed.
I have a question.
Oh, you have a question.
Why does Trapster have a 12 attack?
I do. I was wondering that too. I'm like, who at Wiz consistently has a huge love thing for Trapster?
Is it one of those characters with really low damage and incapacity? I haven't looked at him yet, but
that's it. Yeah, it's all about the incapping. But it's like you're guaranteeing that he succeeds. Like, was Pot Pete ever that good? Really?
I guess I'd have to look back at the comics and be like, has he ever missed with that gun?
I mean, he had to change his name. He was that bad. Like, come on.
I'm just scrolling through here looking for 12 attacks. There's Fire Lord. There's Doctor Doom. This is all making sense so far. Trapster.
A nihilist.
Yeah. Definitely got to have a Trapster on that
So
list.
we got Cosmic Beings, Cosmic Being, Cosmic Being, Cosmic Being, Trapster.
Cosmic Being, God Emperor, Cosmic Being, Pace Pot Pete. That makes sense.
Oh my god.
I thought it was a typo at first. I thought he had the wrong dial in there.
No kidding. I thought they printed his movement on his attack value.
I mean, I wouldn't give him that. I wouldn't give Pacepod Peter Trapster 12 movement under any circumstance. I wouldn't give him 12 attack either. Don't get me wrong.
He had his defense value onto his attack.
It was relative, right? Because he slows everybody down, so it seemed like he's moving faster, right? Hence the 12 movement.
Oh my god! It is. Oh, I'm looking at it right now. I mean, 12 attack with 2 damage still though.
Because again, it's about the special power. It's not about him doing 2 damage.
I mean, he shouldn't have. He should have 1 damage with that kind of attack. But the 1 damage had to give him the 75 points.
Things are about to get real messy. then he puts paste markers down. I just feel like we're being trolled.
Incapacitate when he generate a paste marker in each hit character's square. Characters occupying paste markers must break away as if they are adjacent to Trapster. When no character occupies a paste marker, remove it. Oh my god, I'm giving this guy the Venom. Venom symbiote.
He's got
does he have it?
plasticity.
Oh my god, he got trait
plasticity. It's ridiculous.
It is. This guy is way too good.
With 6 range with 3 targets with his incapacitate. What is going on here? Hold on. I'm putting this on screen so people can see what we're laughing at here. It's because it just deserves to be seen. Trapster, better known as Pacepot Pete. He's got a collection of keywords too, with a Frightful Four, Intelligentsia, Magia, Sinister Syndicate, and Scientist.
This is what I'm talking about.
Oh my gosh.
Sense.
Yeah, it's anomalous. It's quite anomalous. I don't know what's going on.
No other word for it.
Like we got
Nobody
Claw in the same set as Pacepot Pete.
And I'd rather play Pacepot Pete over Claw.
But look how much. But this is what I mean. It's like but they're like all over the place. Like it's like Wizard. Look how great Wizard is.
No kidding. And if you were to ask me before we saw any dials from this set, who do you think would have a higher attack value between Franklin Richards as Galactus and Pacepot Pete? My answer probably wouldn't have been even.
It's a tie.
It's a tie.
It's a dead heat.
Oh, I love when we can go out on comedy, guys. I really do. Oh, hey, who wants to use this new Medusa?
I'm
Nah.
the old one.
I know.
New Medusa's fine. She's no Pacepot Pete.
That's it.
It's the new scale. It's the new the high level measuring stick. Where does he sit on the Pacepot Pete scale?
Exactly. Is this a triple P character?
Are you down with Triple P? Yeah, you know me.
You down with PPP? Oh, God, thank you guys very much for that. And also thank you guys for watching live and in the archives if you're watching in the future. Emily just jumped in. Ooh, Magia, I can play him with Vulture.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah.
I was going to point that out.
Yeah, that way you've got a solid secondary attacker. Here's one where you don't have to use Perplex to get his attack values into
You know what?
the sky.
It's a shame he's got the Minions of Doom team ability, because if he had the Sinister Syndicate team ability, he'd like be a must include on Sinister Syndicate teams.
Yeah, that'd be pretty awesome.
Well, what's funny also is that his unique modifier decreases opposing characters' defense based on attacks made by other Frightful Four. Is that all of them or just his? They're different, right?
Yeah, they're all different.
For
Yeah.
each attack made by a character with the Frightful Four.
Right. So as long as he's not leading off, he's rocking that 12 attack and going against reduced defenses.
He's hitting, and they're not
Yeah.
going anywhere.
Madness.
Oh, man. This is the greatest day ever.
And he's on his third click, he's got Perplex so that he can bring himself back to a 12 attack.
Boy, this is just going to stick with you, isn't it?
I get things in under my craw. My claw.
Yeah.
It's a trapster!
It's a trap!
His name is Peter Petrusky? Paste Pot Pete Petrusky? He's quadruple P?
Oh my god. All right, we got to go out on this one. We got to go out.
All right.
So once again, thanks everybody for watching live. Thanks for watching in the archives. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Mike, for being with me today and for making me hurt my face laughing on the way out. I also want to thank his long-term sponsors over at Majestics. Check out the Apex Insiders, majesticsccg.com/apex-insiders. $3 a month gets you access to some of the greater articles that they have there. You can jump on the site. They have some free content. But if you really want the good stuff, $3 a month gets you the good stuff. Oh, that good stuff. As well, I want to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/marriedwithclicks. You guys are awesome. Love your support. Look forward to sharing more of our videos early with you guys in the future. With that said, get your Paste Pot Pete's on the table, guys, and get some practice with them. Because practice will make your Paste Pot Pete better. Have a good night, everybody. Oh, I'm dying. I can't even find the title card. I love it.